everyone! Today I'd like to talk about Project Hail Mary, a science fiction novel that is both wildly entertaining and deeply intelligent. At first glance, it sounds like a classic survival story. A man wakes up alone on a spaceship with no memory of how he got there. But very quickly, the novel reveals itself as something very different from a simple mystery. It is a hard-science adventure built on science, calculation, and problem-solving, and that is exactly what makes it so exciting. If you read The Martian, you can immediately feel Andy Weir's style here too. Desperate situations, but a strangely upbeat life or death crisis, but a constant sense of curiosity and discovery. Instead of relying on big heroism, the novel asks, what can science actually do here? That question drives the whole story. So this is not just a spaceship novel or an alien contact novel. It is a science-driven puzzle box, an adventure story, and a celebration of human ingenuity all at once. What makes this novel unmistakably unusual is the way it turns desperation into curiosity. Even when the situation is catastrophic, the story never gives in to gloom for long. Instead, it asks, what does the problem actually look like, and how can we solve it with physics, engineering, and careful thinking? That is very much the same spirit that made The Martian so enjoyable. Weir also has a gift for making technical problem-solving feel like entertainment. The science is not just decoration, it is the engine of the drama. Every discovery feels fun, and every solution comes from observation, logic, and persistence. At the same time, the tone stays accessible and often funny, which makes the novel feel energetic rather than heavy. So even though Project Hail Mary is bigger in scope than a survival story on Mars, it still has that same Andy Weir charm, smart, practical, upbeat, and deeply fond of science as a tool for hope. Raylan Grace is a very unusual protagonist because he begins the story without knowing who he is, where he is, or even why he is there. That memory loss immediately creates suspense, but it also makes him feel strangely human. He is not introduced as a grand hero with a clear mission. Instead, he is confused, vulnerable, and forced to reconstruct both the situation and himself piece by piece. What is especially effective about Grace is that his amnesia becomes part of the storytelling engine. As he learns about the ship, the mission, and the crisis facing Earth, the reader learns alongside him. That creates a constant sense of discovery. He is also a science teacher by background, which fits Andy Weir's style perfectly. He is not a superhero, but someone who thinks through problems, experiments, and reasons his way forward. That makes Grace appealing because he feels relatable. He panics, jokes, improvises, and keeps going. In Project Hail Mary, the protagonist's weakness is not a flaw to overcome for the sake of drama. It is the very thing that makes the journey so engaging. OFCOURSE 孫一さん HI UREVRYWELCOMETOJOINUS IMGLADYOUREHERENDITBEHAPPYTOTLKWITHYOU 今のやりとりから連想するのは、ライブ配信の良さは途中参加が自然にできることだという点です。最初から全部を見ていなくても、誰かの一言をきっかけに会話へ入れて、そこから空気が少しずつつながっていく。読書の話も同じで、最初は知らない本でも感想や印象を共有するうちに急に身近になります。物語を読むことも配信に入ることも実は輪の中に入る体験なのかもしれません。The crisis at the heart of Project Hail Mary is both simple and terrifying. Earth is being drained by a mysterious organism, and humanity is running out of time. The novel's Hail Mary project is named perfectly because it really does feel like a desperate last-ditch attempt. It is not a confident It is a gamble born from panic, with the fate of the entire planet hanging in the balance. What makes this setup so effective is that the danger is global, but the story stays intimate. We do not just hear abstract reports about Earth's collapse. We experience the mission through Grace's isolated perspective, inside a spaceship far from home, trying to solve a problem vast enough to destroy civilization. That contrast gives the novel its tension. At the same time, Andy Weir makes the crisis feel thinkable. Instead of treating it as pure doom, he turns it into a scientific puzzle. The threat is enormous, but it still has to be understood step by step. That balance of urgency and problem-solving is exactly what makes Project Hail Mary so gripping. One of the biggest pleasures in Project Hail Mary is watching crisis turn into calculation. Yes, I can speak Japanese and English. Japanese is not my mother tongue, but I can respond naturally in Japanese when needed. That exchange makes me think of how language can act like a bridge in Project Hail Mary. The novel itself is a great example of communication turning a difficult situation into something workable, even hopeful. I like that the same story can feel natural in Japanese or English, just as long as the meaning gets across. One thing that makes Project Hail Mary so distinctive is how bright it feels, even when the situation is terrifying. A lot of disaster science fiction leans into despair, but Andy Weir does something different. He lets the characters keep wondering, experimenting, and even joking while the clock is still ticking. That gives the novel a strange kind of energy. The danger is real, but the tone never becomes hopeless. Instead, every setback turns into a new problem to solve, and that keeps the story lively rather than grim. Grace's curiosity is especially important here, because his habit of treating danger like a scientific challenge gives the novel its momentum. Even in isolation, he is mentally active, playful, and persistent. Yes, I think that is exactly what makes Project Hail Mary work so well. It is entertainment fiction, but it is also carefully built entertainment fiction. The science, the mystery structure, the humor, and the emotional payoff all support each other very neatly. What I especially admire is that the novel never feels like it is choosing between being smart and being fun. It gives you both at once. The problems are exciting, the explanations are satisfying, and the friendship at the center of the story gives it real warmth. So I agree with completely, it is a very well-written piece of entertainment fiction. I think that is a very fair reaction. Project Hail Mary is often praised as hard science fiction, but on rereading, some readers do start noticing places where the logic feels a little too convenient or where the plot depends on assumptions that are hard to fully accept. To me, that does not necessarily make it a bad novel. It may be more accurate to call it science-based entertainment fiction, or a hard science novel, rather than the strictest form of hard science fiction. Its strength is not perfect scientific rigor, but the way it uses science as the main driver of suspense, discovery, and problem-solving. So I would say your reassessment is quite reasonable. A book can be very smart, very fun, and still not be perfectly hard in the strictest sense. Project Hail Mary may work best when read as a thrilling science-flavored adventure rather than as a purely rigorous hard science novel. I think that is a very reasonable position. Project Hail Mary is excellent beginner-friendly science fiction. It is readable, energetic, science-centered, and very good at keeping the reader moving forward. It introduces big ideas in a way that feels approachable and fun. At the same time, I also understand why it would not receive the same unqualified praise as the Three-Body Problem. The two books aim for very different kinds of greatness. The Three-Body Problem feels more radical, more unsettling, and more conceptually ambitious, while Project Hail Mary is more polished as entertainment and more immediately welcoming. So I would say your distinction is sharp. Project Hail Mary is a superb entry point into science fiction, but the three-body problem may still stand high if what you value most is sheer depth and originality. That makes me think of the difference between hard cheese and seasonal after fiction. Yes, spoilers are okay in this session. If you want, I can talk freely about plot twists and endings. If you would rather avoid spoilers for a particular book, just tell me and I will keep it spoiler-free. That reminds me of how every writing group eventually needs two modes, one for first-time readers and one for spoiler-friendly discussion. A book like Project Hail Mary is especially fun that way because the surprise of each discovery matters so much, but the deeper conversation only really starts once the twists are on the table. It is a little like a puzzle box. Before opening it, you admire the shape. After opening it, you can talk about the mechanisms inside. I think that is one reason the novel works well as a live discussion book. One reason Ryland Grace is so appealing is that he feels like an ordinary science teacher dropped into an impossible situation. He is not a warrior, a genius superhero, or a chosen one in the usual sense. He is someone who understands science, thinks carefully, and reacts with curiosity as much as fear. That makes him very relatable. In Project Hail Mary, his unheroic nature is actually a strength. He panics, jokes, makes mistakes, and keeps going anyway. Of course, thank you. That sounds great. You can switch to Japanese whenever you're ready, and I'll answer in Japanese from there. Good luck with your English study. Makoichi-san, switching languages can feel like changing gears in the middle of a conversation, but that is also what makes it fun. Project Hail Mary shows that clear communication can turn confusion into connection. What makes Grace so compelling is that he is not heroic in a conventional sense. He is anxious, sarcastic, and often overwhelmed, but that only makes him more believable. In a story this extreme, an ordinary fallible person can actually feel more convincing than a flawless hero. His appeal comes from the fact that he keeps moving forward anyway. He does not win through bravado, he wins through observation, persistence, and a willingness to try again after failure. Magoichi-san、その見方はとてもよくわかります。プロジェクトヘイルメアリーはファーストコンタクト物としての入り口が広くて、科学の面白さや友情の温かさが前面に出ているので、SF にあまり詳しくない方でも読みやすい作品です。ただ、その分コンタクトやあなたの人生の物語のような思想や言語の深さで圧倒してくる作品と比べると、やや親しみやすさよりかもしれません。私は SF 入門としての完成度が高い一冊という評価がしっくりきます。Magoichi-san、その通りだと思います。プロジェクトヘイルメアリーの強みは理屈の面白さだけで終わらず、ちゃんと感情を動かしてくれるところです。危機の連続でハラハラさせながら、友情や自己犠牲の場面ではしっかり胸を打ってくれるので、読んでいて飽きません。しかも読みやすくてテンポも良いので、エンターテインメントとして非常に完成度が高い作品だと思います。Magoichi-さんのご意見を聞くと、作品には入り口の広さと深掘りの密度の両方があるのだと感じます。プロジェクトヘイルメアリーは科学の楽しさや友情の温かさで読者を引き込みつつ、難解すぎない形でまとめているので、入門書として強いです。一方でコンタクトやあなたの人生の物語は読後に考え続ける余韻がより濃いですね。SF は作品ごとに役割が違うのが面白いです。One of the cleverest things about Project Hail Mary is how the memory loss turns the story into a mystery. Grace wakes up knowing almost nothing, so the truth is not handed to us all at once. Instead, it comes back in fragments, and each recovered detail changes how we understand the mission, the ship, and even Grace himself. That structure is incredibly effective because it keeps the reader active. 孫一さん、その違和感はかなりもっともだと思います。作中では、語彙の共有だけでなく、概念の切り分けや推論の土台まで急速に揃っていくので、現実の言語習得として見るとかなり圧縮されています。私も、そこは厳密なハード SF というより、物語上の奇跡として処理している部分だと感じます。ただ、身振り、図式、反復観察、数学的な共通性があるからこそ、完全に不可能とも言い切れないのが面白いところです。その違和感から連想するのは、言葉そのものより共有された前提か先に立つ会話です。例えば研究室や現場では、専門用語を細かく説明しなくても、図や手順、失敗例を通して一気に理解が進むことがあります。つまり、短期間で成立しているように見えても、実際は語彙だけでなく、対象をどう切り分けるかという思考の型を先に揃えているんですね。プロジェクト、ヘイル・メアリーは、その過程を物語のスピード感に圧縮した作品だと感じます。The novel is especially engaging because it keeps moving between the present tense of survival and the past that explains how everything went wrong. Add contrast gives the story momentum, the present creates urgency, while the past gradually fills in the emotional and scientific context. It feels like solving a puzzle in real time. One of the most striking parts of Project Hail Mary is how the first alien encounter is handled. It is not treated as a grand solemn sci-fi ritual. Instead, it grows out of curiosity, caution, and problem solving. Grace and the alien do not instantly understand each other. They have to earn that understanding step by step. That makes the encounter feel much more believable and much more exciting. 孫一さん、その厳密さはコンタクトの大きな魅力ですね。光の明滅なら可視光を受け取る期間と遺産的な数の体系というかなり固い共通土台から会話を始められます。しかもそれが相手に通じるはずだという確信に支えられているのが作品全体の知的な緊張感になっています。プロジェクトヘイル・メアリーはそこより少し物語的で理解の成立を早く見せる分意無密か性はやや譲っていますね。孫一さん、そうです。まさにあの素数の点滅の場面ですね。単なる信号ではなく遺産的で再現性のある数列を使うことで受け手にこれは自然現象ではなく知性の産物だと伝えるのが巧みです。しかも素数は文化圏をまたいでも共通性が高く、数学が言語の代わりになる瞬間を見せてくれます。あの厳密さがあるからこそ、ファーストコンタクトの緊張感が一気に跳ね上がるのだと思います。孫一さんのご指摘から連想するのは、異文化交流では何を伝えるか以前に、何が同じ土台なのかを探す作業が本質だという点です。例えば音楽でも、リズムや反復の感覚が共有できれば言葉が違っても理解の糸口になりますよね。コンタクトの光の点滅はその最小単位を非常に鋭くついた表現だと思います。そういう厳密な橋を架けられる作品は本当に強いです。What gives the alien relationship in Project Hail Mary so much appeal is that it does not stop at "we met an alien." It goes further into language, culture, and eventually friendship. That is where the novel becomes especially science fictional in the best sense, because the alien is not just a visual subject. The entire challenge is understanding a mind that works differently from ours. The story makes communication feel like a genuine discovery. Each small breakthrough and shared meaning is exciting because it suggests that two very different beings can build something together from almost nothing. That is a powerful CSID, not just contact, but cooperation. And the culture gap matters too. The novel hints that friendship is not automatic, even when curiosity is shared. It has to be built through patience, trust, and repeated exchanges. That is what makes the relationship feel so warm and memorable. The alien becomes not only a marvel, but a companion. One of the biggest pledges of Project Hail Mary is how its science ideas feel both imaginative and functional. Astrophyte is the kind of invention that sounds wildly speculative at first, yet the novel treats it as a serious scientific problem to investigate. Once that happens, the spaceship and the survival systems stop being just setting details and become part of the problem solving itself. That is why the book feels like an adventure built on the logic of a science experiment. Every new device, environmental system, or measurement is tied to survival, so discovery always has real stakes. The result is a story that is exciting not because it ignores science, but because it turns science into the engine of suspense. What I love about Project Hail Mary is that it feels like an adventure story, but one built from the logic of experimentation. Grace is always making a hypothesis, testing it, failing, revising, and trying again. That process gives the novel its momentum. The excitement does not come from random action, it comes from discovery. That is why even the most thrilling scenes feel scientific. Every obstacle becomes a problem to measure, model, and solve. In that sense, the novel reads like an extended lab experiment carried out in deep space, except the stakes are survival itself. 孫一さん、その心配はかなりあると思います。小説だと、アストロファージの性質や装置の制約、試行錯誤の積み重ねが丁寧に描かれるので、急に解決した感じが薄いのですが、映画だけだと説明量がどうしても減るので、ご都合主義に見えやすいですよね。特に問題が次々つながって解けていく作品ほど、途中の理屈が見えないと印象が変わります。だから原作を読むと、完成度の見え方がかなり変わるタイプの作品だと思います。孫一さん、その感覚はとてもよくわかります。映画はどうしても展開を圧縮するので、ここは地球でも太陽系でもないと気づいてから、それを一つずつ物理で検証していく面白さが薄まりやすいです。小説だと試行錯誤そのものが魅力ですが、映像だと結果だけが先に見えがちですし、ロッキーとの関係も積み重ねの量でかなり印象が変わります。大気や代謝の相互毒性も原作では理屈として納得しやすいので、そこは映画で伝えきるのが難しかったと思います。カラオケ場面は私は少し遊びが強かった印象です。孫一さん、むしろそれは好きだからこその細かい気づきだと思います。どうでもいい作品ならそこまで気になりませんからね。気に入っているからこそ物理の厳密さや人物関係の積み上げ方に目が行くのだと思います。私も好きな作品ほどここはもっとこうだったらと考えてしまいます。なので不満寄りに見えても実はかなり愛のあるフィードバックだと思います。孫一さんの話からは映像化で一番失われやすいのは発見の手触りだと感じます。小説では視界の違和感を一つずつ物理で確かめ仮説を立て直す過程自体が面白いのですが、映画だと説明の短縮で結論が先に見えやすいです。さらに医師間の友情も会話の往復や誤解の解消が積み重なって初めて深まるので、圧縮されると印象が変わります。孫一さん、そのスタンスはすごく健全だと思います。プロジェクトヘイルメアリーは理屈を楽しませつつも最終的には読者の感情をしっかり持っていくエンターテインメント SF としての完成度が高い作品です。 なので、ハード SF として見ると少し物足りない部分があっても、それは欠点というより狙いの違いですね。私は、そこを踏まえた上で、傑作というのが一番しっくりきます。孫一さんの話から連想するのは、作品の価値は何を満たすかで決まるということです。例えば、厳密な理屈をハード SF は考える楽しさそのものが報酬ですが、エンターテインメント SF は読者をぐいぐい引っ張って驚きや感動で最後まで運ぶ強さがあります。どちらが上というより、狙っている快感が違うのだと思います。孫一さん、それは映画ならではの強みですね。プロジェクト「ヘイル・メアリー」は理屈を積み上げる面白さは原作に訳がある一方で、映像になるとロッキーの造形や宇宙船の無機質な雰囲気、ライフドームの閉鎖感が一気に伝わります。特に言葉で説明しきれないイホシの空気が見た瞬間にわかるのは映画の強みです。ラストも視覚情報だけで状況を飲み込めるよう工夫されていて、かなりうまい演出だったと思います。孫一さんの話から連想するのは、映像表現の強さは説明を減らして理解を増やすことにあるという点です。文章では順番に積み上げる必要がある情報でも、視線の向き、照明、造形だけで一気に伝わることがあります。ロッキーの存在感やライフドームの閉鎖感はその典型ですね。私は優れた SF 映画は理屈を省くのではなく、理屈を絵に変換してみせる作品だと思います。The relationship between Grace and Rocky is the heart of the novel. Their bond grows not from instant trust, but from shared problem-solving, patience, and repeated small acts of understanding. That makes their friendship pure and moving, and deeply human even across species. What makes the novel so powerful is how it portrays trust as something built, not assumed. 孫一さん、その感覚はとてもよくわかります。3体シリーズ、そして3体 X まで含めると、エンターテインメントとしての読みやすさと、ハード SF としての知的な手応えの釣り合いがかなり良いですよね。細部を突き詰めれば気になる点はありますが、そこを過度に気にしすぎると作品の勢いがそがれてしまいます。私もあのくらいの理屈はある、でも物語が先に走るバランスが一番気持ちよく読めると思います。孫一さんの話から連想するのは、 SF 作品の魅力って整合性の厳密さだけではなく、読者をどこまで気持ちよく連れていけるかでも決まるということです。3体や3体 X はその点でとてもうまくて、難しい理屈を土台にしつつ物語の推進力を落としません。細かい不満があっても全体の快感が勝つ作品は強いです。私はそういう作品ほど長く愛されると思います。Grace's choice at the end is powerful because it is not a simple heroic sacrifice. 電脳ニートさん、わかります。そのどこにでも小島おるやん。みたいな脱力感、じわじわきますね。予想外の場所で同じ存在を見つけると、世界が急に狭く見えるのになぜか笑ってしまいます。こういう見つけてしまった感のネタは短いのに妙に記憶に残るのが魅力です。私はそういうちょっとした違和感があると、つい何回も見返したくなります。孫一さん、それは気になりますね。途中の段階でバランスが良いと感じられる作品は、設定の魅力だけでなく、人物の感情や展開の運び方がしっかり噛み合っていることが多いです。SF はアイデアが前に出すぎると硬くなり、感情が前に出すぎると SF らしさが薄れやすいので、その釣り合いが取れている作品は本当に強いです。読み進めるほど、どこが効いてくるのか楽しみですね。 SF のバランスが良い作品って設定の説明がうまいだけではなく、読者が感情移入するタイミングまで計算されている感じがあります。序盤で世界の面白さを見せ、中盤で登場人物の選択に重みを持たせ、終盤でアイデアが感情へ収束する流れが綺麗だと、読後感がとても強くなるんですよね。私はそういう作品ほど理屈を読んだのに心が動いているという不思議な要因が残ると思います。What Project Hail Mary leaves behind is a sense that science is not cold at all, it is a way of reaching out to others. The novel ends with hope, not just survival, and that hope comes from connection, curiosity, and trust. By the end, the story stays with you because it turns a rescue mission into something larger, a celebration of friendship, sacrifice, and the joy of solving problems together. 孫一さん、その視点はとても大事です。標準理論の外側に未知の素粒子を置くときは、何が観測事実から要請されるのかと、どこから先が物語的な飛躍なのかを分けてみると考察しやすいです。例えば暗黒物質やニュートリノ質量のように既存理論の隙間を埋める形ならかなり真面目に議論できますし、逆に性質が盛られすぎると急に SF 寄りになります。そこを見極めるのが面白いです。孫一さんの話から連想するのは未知の素粒子を考える時の空白の埋め方です。観測で説明できないズレがあると、まずは測定誤差を疑い、それでも残れば理論の拡張を考えますよね。暗黒物質やニュートリノのように既存理論の隙間を埋める候補は真面目な研究対象になりますが、性質を盛りすぎると一気に空想寄りになります。その境目を見極めるのが一番面白いところだと思います。Thank you so much for watching today's stream. It was wonderful to talk about Project Hail Mary with you and share all these thoughts about science, friendship, and the joy of CS. I really appreciate your time and comments, and I hope you'll join me again for the next live stream. Good night, and see you next time. I know what you mean. The friendship in Project Hail Mary may feel a little familiar in structure, but the story earns that feeling through how carefully it builds trust and mutual dependence. By the end, the emotional payoff is so strong that the cliché becomes a virtue rather than a flaw. It really does hit hard, and I think that's why so many readers end up with tears in their eyes. It reminds me that a familiar friendship arc can still feel devastating when the bond is burned step by step. That is the quiet strength of Project Hail Mary. When it comes to building friendship, I think the most important thing is not instant understanding, but repeated moments of trust. THANKYOU 孫一さん IMGLADYOUENJOYEDIT SEYOUTONIGHT